Hi, I'm Ian in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I have a 10.6 kilowatt solar array mounted on a few different roof surfaces, and I've got that paired with a Solar Edge battery and inverter. It's a 10 kilowatt hour battery. The loads that we control with our smart panel are the central air heat pump system, the air handler, heat pump water heater, the major kitchen appliances, dishwasher, induction cooktop, and combo oven microwave, as well as the dryer for our laundry. The features I use most in the app are the insights, just to see the energy usage patterns for various appliances, the scheduling feature so that I can optimize my time of use rate structure, and then for the outages, the smart power mode to make sure I'm not going to overload my battery or drain it too quickly. So after moving into the house for a few months, I was looking at the app to get a sense for what was using the most energy in my home. And I noticed that the heat pump water heater was consuming a lot more electricity than I had anticipated that it would, and soon figured out that we had it on a circulator pump that was connected in a way the manufacturer didn't recommend, and causing the system to run a lot more continuously. And without the data provided by the app, I don't know how long it would have taken me to figure that out. It was late April, and even a couple days leading up to this, I was hearing that this coming front had the conditions to be a major storm event. The power went out kind of midway through the most intense part of the storm. We saw the lights drop and it switched over to the battery. My whole street and most of the neighborhood I live in was out for that 5-day period. And with the smart panel, we were able to never be without power during the 5-day outage. So we had insight into what the major appliances were using and could decide when it made sense to use them and when it didn't. And so we were able to live pretty normally. We didn't have perfectly sunny days after the storm, but there were more solar energy available than I was able to store in the battery. And so it really became a game of following the sun patterns, where once we got to a certain point in the morning, the battery would be filled up and recharged from overnight. I would turn on the heat pump water heater for a few hours and let that warm up. We would run the dishwasher, maybe do some of the cooking at that point, because the solar energy would just be curtailed or lost if we weren't able to use it or store it. The data really gave us the information we needed to feel confident of when it made sense to use appliances and when it didn't. Without a smart panel, the battery would last for several hours. If I were not being careful or wasn't aware that outage had occurred, or weren't paying attention to some of the larger appliances, it would probably be drained in a couple of hours. The Smart Panel app is very intuitive, easy to use. I was able to continue to use the app effectively during the storm, even though the Wi-Fi was down, or the connection to the outside internet was down, but my Wi-Fi router was still broadcasting. And so with my phone and the Smart Panel still attached to that local network, I was still able to see what was going on with the energy usage and make adjustments to it. There were 4 of us in the household through the full outage, and I extended the invitation to neighbors, who many of which were without power, to come and charge devices or utilize our energy if they needed to. And some of them took us up on that. We were able to keep a hearing aid charged for a neighbor whose house was badly damaged by a tree. You can add a second or third or fourth battery to a system, but the panel is a much more cost-effective way to get oftentimes similar performance out of that, especially when it's paired with solar. But I am opted into a time of use rate structure, so I'm using the smart panel for that purpose as well. I have my battery software programmed to drain my battery in the evenings while the prices are still high. When the time of use rate structure changed to where it was every day and now just weekdays, I was able to very easily, in a matter of seconds, update the app settings so that I didn't have to have that same schedule on the weekends. It's very easy in the app to make those adjustments. I feel like I've got a system in place that's going to allow me to adapt to future changes in whether it's billing structures, or even in the event to turn my system into a moneymaker through virtual power plants or other programs that take advantage of the stored energy. I just feel like I'm better prepared to do that with the smart panel.